Hello, 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 and welcome to the Bear World Podcast, the official podcast of Bear World Magazine. I am your host, Kyle Jackson. Be sure to check out more from Bear World Magazine by visiting www.bearworldmag.com. And remember, new episodes of the Bear World Podcast come out every 2 weeks. If you're new to the Bear World Podcast, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on another episode. You can find us on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere where podcasts are available. Now, today, we have a very special guest on the podcast. He's a very talented singer. And just to give you a clue on some of the things that people have said about this very talented singer, acclaimed music journalist Larry Flick describes him as having a gift from God and praised him, saying, "You make pop music serious. You're the real deal." Jazz critic Sammy Stein calls him pure and tonal. The effect is mesmerizing. Wow. Please welcome to the Bear World Podcast, Mr. Graham J. How are you today?
I'm grand, thanks. How are you? Thanks for having me, Kyle.
No problem, no problem. So I gave you like a very grand introduction.
I'm telling you, I hope I live up to it. Jesus, my head's after swelling.
I gave you a great introduction there. I mean, and I think you more than live up to it. If anybody doesn't know, Graham was also featured in both of our previous Digital Bear weekends. He did a performance for both of those, and they were great. They were like some of like just really great performances. So, and I mean, not that I was shocked or anything, because like I wasn't like shocked by how talented you were, because I was sure you were talented. But then when you opened your mouth, I was like, oh wow, okay, now this is the real deal right here. So thank you for being here today to talk to us.
Do you want to come and do my PR for me?
I would totally do your PR for you. We can talk about that after the show. No, but honestly, it's really great to have you. So I'm just gonna start off with a couple questions. Let's just talk about some stuff. Let's get to know who Graham J really is. So I just want to ask, how did you start in music? Like, how did you even know that this is what you want to do? What's your musical background?
Well, apparently, according to my mother, the source of all information, I used to run up and down my cot all night singing. And my mother's grandmother was an opera singer. And so music is in our family. And we have an expression here, we probably have it over there. It's, sure, Jesus, he has a fine pair of lungs on him. So, because I used to scream a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I started, before I could talk, honestly, I was singing and making noise, and I went on from there. I always knew I was going to be a singer, and
Yeah.
I started having my voice trained properly when I was 4.
Okay.
So early, but I was playing the piano and everything else from around 2. I was kind of picking out things, and so it just went on from there. And I started life as a boy soprano.
Wow.
I used to sing in the cathedral here in town, St. John's Lane. And then I went to music college to train to be an opera singer. And they discovered I had this very unique and rare voice. So what happened with my voice is it did break. But I know your listeners can't see this, but you can see me.
Yeah.
So if you notice, when I tilt my head back, there's no Adam's apple.
Yes.
Yes. Now there is, but it's up here. So normally when a man's voice breaks, the Adam's apple drops.
Okay.
So what happened with me was it widened.
Okay.
So I kept the soprano part of my voice, and then it just changed colour over the years, and I got a couple of extra octaves on the bottom. So I ended up with a sort of, I can roughly sing over 5 octaves.
Wow.
So it's quite a big range.
Impressive.
So, yeah.
It's quite impressive. I mean, see, now he's basically just validating all of the things that people have, the great things people have said about him that I told you guys about, like, before he even started speaking.
I had a career then as an opera singer for a long time. I was travelling around the world singing and doing concerts, and I was very fortunate. I was selected to be the first countertenor to take part at the National Opera Studio in London, where they take the finest singers of the time and give us a platform to sing work with all the opera houses. And so I was very lucky. I had some lessons there, and they didn't have a full-time place for me because I was a countertenor and unusual, but they did their best for me, and so that kind of exposed me to a lot of people. And
Great.
then while that was all going on, I was sneaking in and out of jazz and cabaret clubs for years, doing my thing. And so I think my heart was always there. And then,
Got it.
then circumstances and life got in the way, and I just decided one day, you know what, I've had enough. I just want to sing. And it's the only thing in the world I know how to do is sing. So
Yeah.
I gave my heart and soul over to the dark side.
I love that you say that because because I'm an actor, I've taken some voice classes throughout college and everything. I studied drama in college, and I was actually had the chance to be in an opera, Amal and the Night Visitors.
Oh yeah.
And I was one of the wise men, the three kings, the three wise men. And I remember being in that opera, and I remember one of the singers who played Amal's mother in the show. She basically kind of sort of alluded to what you're talking about right now, which is she was a fine opera singer. She was like really like amazing actually, but for some reason, she could not sing modern music or pop music. She couldn't sing it. Every time she would try to sing it, like her voice just would crack. She could only sing classical music. So hearing you say that you can, kind of switch between the two. You're a trained opera singer, but you also have like an amazing like jazz pop voice. That's impressive too, because like from what I gathered from listening to a lot of the musicians speak, is that some people can't adapt in that way.
Yeah, actually,
Their voice.
it's actually something I'm studying at the moment because I'm actually about to start a PhD, and
Nice.
my specialty is in dissecting vocal problems, but it's to do with how, because I'm very fascinated by singers who lose their voice because they're not trained properly, and bel canto, which is the method that we train an opera singer by, is the only way to train a voice properly, because I think sometimes with opera singers who can't move into say jazz or pop, I think it's because they have a mental block, and I think it's to do with perceptions of, oh my god, I can't sing this and blah 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 blah, and it's also for me because of the range of voice that I have, that this I think I can put it into keys that don't push my voice to sound like an opera singer. So it's to do with pitch and volume as well. So
Okay.
it is that, and I do think that having vocal lessons is very important no matter what genre you sing it, because the voice only works in one way, and that is like basically you breathe in, the air comes back out through your lungs, out over your vocal cords, and you make the noise. That's the only way.
I mean, just from taking voice lessons myself, like I literally, like right before the quarantine and everything started, I had started vocal lessons again because I decided, because I'm a Shakespearean trained actor, and all of that, and I've been training in that for a while, but like something told me, I want to start auditioning for like more musicals. So I got a voice teacher, a voice trainer. Shout out to Marco, who's my voice trainer, who was also part of the Digital Bear Weekend. But I had to stop because of like the whole quarantine thing, and like I just like I was like without money and all. We're not even gonna go into all that, but but like so a lot got in the way. But like I'm glad to hear like you're still like, even through all of this crazy like stuff, you're like still right on like your path to to pursuing your music and everything? Because a lot of people just had to like stop, but it doesn't really seem like you stopped much. I mean, or have you?
No, I've actually been very busy. I've been very lucky because of, well, for you guys to include me in your stuff. And then I was very lucky in January. I recorded with FH Block, so there was a lot of publicity around that. So I had a lot of interviews during lockdown in this kind of situation, which was a new challenge for me. So having to set up microphones and stuff at home to do. And then I kept writing, and like I literally I've a load of stuff now happening from January onwards. Like I'm recording a brand new album. I'm about to record a new Christmas EP of original music. Some of it I've written, and then some that was written for me. And then I'm taking some of the Christmas jazz standards and kind of doing them in my own unique way.
Nice. Well, see, that's great because, and Robin's going to listen to this, and Robin's probably going to laugh because we were just having a conversation where I was joking with him. Robin's like, all ready for Christmas music to begin. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of like so about it because, like, you know, people just play the same 5 Christmas songs all the time. So, like, I'm really happy to hear you say, like, I have some original Christmas music coming. And that was like when I was talking to Robin about the other day. I was like, original Christmas music, not like the same 10 songs that everybody's singing. So that's amazing. And I can't wait to hear that.
Well, we've 2. I've written 2. So one of them is very, very up-tempo and upbeat and jolly holly. And then the other one's one of the miserable ones. So.
Oh, one of the I'm so lonely at Christmas sort of like.
Oh, actually, no, it's not. It's a love song, sort of.
Oh, okay.
But it's about kind of like, you know, we'll get through this together. It's been a shit year.
Oh, okay. So like sort of like a COVID-19 Christmas.
Kind of anti-war, kind of, yeah.
Okay. Post COVID-19.
Yeah. And the other,
or hopefully post COVID-19.
And the up-tempo jolly happy one is a sort of I suppose, for want of a better analogy, is basically it's all I want for Christmas with lots of cheese.
Okay, so you're totally kind of like, you know, playing up your British audience there.
Mm-hmm. It's
a
Christmas.
joke. It's a joke. Yeah. Great. So I mean, that all sounds great. So like, one thing that I do want to talk to you about is, so like, you are part of like, or do you consider yourself to be part of the bear community? Like, are you consider yourself to be part of like the bear community?
Well, God cast me in the role. Who am I to disagree?
I just want to make sure because, you know, like some people are like, well, I didn't know I was a bear.
I think the T-shirt has given it away.
Yeah, I know. Well, they can't see the T-shirt.
No, they
man.
can't. They can't.
Tell them what the T-shirt is, man.
I think it's a Bobo Bear. Did we decide it was
Yes,
Bobo?
Bear.
Yes, it is a Bobo Bear. Yeah,
it is Bobo
yes.
Bear. Bobo Bear.
It's one of those ones, and the model, it's a guy in his underpants holding a big teddy bear, and he kind of looks like me. That's why I bought it. I bought it in every color, by the way.
He really does look like him.
Yeah.
I thought he had his own line of T-shirts when he first came on.
So yeah, I mean, I shouldn't say this on air, should I really? But even on my Grindr and Growler profiles, I describe myself as a struggling muscle bear. So.
That's great. Struggling. Okay, so for a struggling muscle bear in the music industry, like, or what has that journey been like? Because I'm always interested in like people's journey in the music industry being part of the LGBTQ community and like how that affects it or doesn't affect it or how they deal with it. So how's that been for you?
I have to say, since I left classical music, weirdly, life has been a lot easier. The gay community have kind of embraced me as a sort of a torch singer for our community. Obviously, the Bears kind of have latched on to me, and now that I'm kind of getting a bit silver, I've become a sort of a daddy figure, which is great. We're loving that.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's happened to you now.
Yeah.
You've gone from being bear to being daddy bear.
Bear,
And you're like,
yeah.
whoa, where did that come
Yeah,
from?
and someone actually recently, someone sent me a message. He said to me, "I'm looking for a sugar daddy," and I wrote back to him and said to him, "Well, I'm looking for a diabetic twink." So, but no, the jazz community and the cabaret community have just been so supportive. I only ever experienced homophobia once, and that was to do with just a critic who was just awful. He actually, even in his interview, he said he couldn't fault my music, but he said some really awful homophobic stuff in the review, and there was massive outcry. It was really nice to see the community turned on him, and actually. A very nice, lovely lady called Georgia Mancho, who's a gorgeous singer, she threw him out of one of her gigs, which was very nice. And so that was the only time. But to be honest, I think it's not a big deal for people. When I was in opera, weirdly enough, I mean, my weight has fluctuated up and down over the years like a horse drawers. And I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say these things. Anyway,
no, you can say whatever you want to say. We don't have any, what do you call it? Any
censorship,
parental censorship, whatever. Just say it.
Yeah. So, and I used to get in trouble because I had, as you know, I had a big heart operation. I had massive heart surgery, and as a result of that, I was on a lot of steroid medication, which blew me enormously, and I was losing parts because I was heavy. Which, as you know, in the industry that we work in, is awful, and there was nothing I could do about it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. That was actually you got to the next question is because like I think things are like starting to open up. People are starting to open up their minds a little bit when it comes to LGBTQ representation in music, especially music and television and everything. You're starting to see more. I mean, it's not without some outcry from like some of the sensitive heteros who are. I don't want to see two men kissing on TV, but like a hetero couple just like going at it, like just hard fucking on like FX is totally fine, but like I know, so that's opening up a little bit, but there's still this piece that we come to all the time, and you see it all the time, even with like some of the treatment that a plus size singer Lizzo has gotten, in the press. We still see this thing of like, you have to be thin, you have to look this way, you have to look that way.
Yeah, I mean,
and
if you look at this week alone, there was more crap about Adele, and there was more stuff about oh god, that Australian actress, the funny one. Who I'm talking about, Rebel Wilson.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. Yes, yes.
She's lost a load of weight, and I'm like, do you know what? It's their own bloody business. Mind your own business. Yes. And like, you're there to listen to them sing. That's what you're there for. And I think in my case, I think what people find about, people with me, my issue is not so much the fact that because I've become quite muscular from not working out, thanks be to Jesus. But I think in my case, what people find disarming is like I look physically manly, I'm big and hairy, and then I sing sometimes, depending what part of my voice I'm using. Sometimes I sound like a lady.
Yeah.
And then I sing really emotional music, and I think that kind of disturbs people. And I think a lot of heterosexual DJs have a problem with that because it's disturbing. But that's the effect we're going for, That's what you're going for. It's like you're kind of going for, like, excuse my French, like fuck your gender expectations. Exactly.
Yes, I'm a big hairy man, but I also have a very high light voice that I like to use sometimes, and I have range that I like to play with. So
exactly.
Fuck you.
As I said to somebody once, I was genre fluid.
Yeah.
But I mean, and that's it, and that's the way I love about this new life is that I can sing this repertoire, and I can I don't have to be constrained by other people's concepts of what a man is, because like
Yes.
you know, like we have a different emotional and spiritual life as gay people.
Yes.
We do, and
Yes.
like we live by our own set of rules, and we're
Exactly.
not trying to be heteronormative or whatever. So therefore, if I sing a highly emotional song that might have feminine energy through it, but that so fucking what,
Yes.
but then equally I can be as manly as you need to be, I mean, not manly
Yeah.
but butch or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, masculine.
Butch.
Yeah.
something that Robin likes to call me sometimes. He calls me
Oh,
Butch.
does he?
But it's fine. Yes. But it's fine. I'll take it.
Yeah.
No.
So, and I think we live in 2020, people. If we keep labeling ourselves, we're only encouraging more division.
Yeah.
I mean, look what's been happening this year. You've had like all this stuff with BLM. You've had, like we've had a lot of stuff here with not so much BLM, but we've had a lot with direct provision and things like that. And it kind of like, if we keep dividing amongst ourselves, we're going to end up with more situations like what's happening in Poland and stuff like that, and we will go backwards. We need to keep strong and together and not divide ourselves so that the right wing can't do that for us,
Yeah. And the only way to kind of like to make that happen, or to keep from going backwards, is to accept that everyone is not the same. Everybody's different. Everyone does not follow the same, plan, or the same mode, or the same structure. Whatever you think someone is supposed to follow, everyone doesn't follow that. And like that's the basic way to describe it. Like, we can go into other things about like, other views within that are problematic, but at its core, it's really just about respecting other people's
Exactly.
right to be whoever they want to be, and like leaving your own opinions out of it, so like, like that critic, he could have just commented on how beautiful your voice was, as opposed to having something to say about well, why does he have to sing in that octave, or why does he have to sing in this voice? Well, because that's how he wanted to fucking sing.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
as my mother used to say, if you've nothing good, don't say it at all.
yeah, if you have
Yeah,
nothing
it's
good to say,
don't say it at all.
say it at all. Yes,
Yes.
exactly. So yeah, and that's great that you brought that up, because I have my own struggles with that. As you said, being an artist, being in the industry, you have your own struggles with. I stopped acting for a while because auditioning for a while. I'm hoping to get back into it, but I stopped doing it because I started seeing like roles that I was getting turned down for, and I knew I was like perfect for, I knew that I was good for, went to people that weren't as whatever as I was, and then you look up and they're like some thin
Skinny
guy, or
thing.
like some and it's just like, it gets kind of discouraging, because that the reason why they're doing that is because I look a certain way, and I don't look the way that they want me to
Yeah,
look,
I mean, I remember actually being told at an audition that I needed to lose some weight so that my voice matched my body matched my voice.
Wow.
I heard that a few times, and I know, I mean, it was always one thing. It was either your voice is too big, you're too big, or blah, 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 all this nonsense. And I'm just kind of like, and I'd see people who I wouldn't rate as good singers, getting parts, and like...
I love the way you said that. Who I wouldn't rate as good singers.
And I'm like,
that's great.
You can't hear these people behind a postage stamp, let alone an orchestra. So I'm like, what the actual hell is going on here? And so when I moved into my new life, it was like, you know what? Now everything is done to suit me. The music is arranged to suit my personality. It's in the key that I want it in. There's no people telling me you can't sing that. And because my answer to them is, but why?
Yeah. why can't I sing it? I can do whatever I want.
Exactly.
I mean, like, and yeah, that's the thing. Like, and that's something that I noticed with a lot of artists once you get to be a certain age, because, now with me being in my 30s versus when I was in my 20s. Yeah, when I was in my 20s, I wanted to audition for everything. I wanted someone to pick me. And now in my 30s, I'm thinking about, well, how can I create the things that I want to create as opposed to always auditioning or wanting to be, accepted into someone else's vision.
Yeah.
How can I create my own vision?
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. So I think that's great that you're doing that as well. Like you're literally creating your vision for what you want to do and like following that path.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that I gave myself the permission, and I have to say, I'm now in my 40s, and
And that's fine.
and that's fine.
We're not ageist over
not
here,
ageist.
Rob.
Well, no, I have to say I've turned into a daddy bear, and I'm very happy over this. So,
That's great.
Yes, so,
That's great.
I'm 41, and I have to say, 40 to 41, bar the disaster that is COVID, has been pretty fabulous so far, and
Yeah.
I've gotten and my late 30s onwards, and I kind of got to that point in my life where I was like, you know what, you're not paying my bills, fuck off.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
if you don't want to come, don't come. I don't care.
Yeah.
And that has given me a lot of freedom to do what I want. And and then that allowing yourself to do that, then you can create your own projects. So I've like some lovely things I'm working on that were supposed to happen this year, but they've been delayed a bit. But that's fine. It's given me more time to perfect them. And I mean, even yesterday I had a writing session, and I was writing these Christmas songs. I was finishing them off.
Yeah.
And but then I was in the gym, and I was doing an aqua slim class. Don't judge me. And
No judgment.
and
No, none.
but there was all this kind of Tina Turner, and here was me with the weights underwater giving it socks. And the next thing,
Yeah.
this melody came into my head, and by the time I'd gotten home, I'd written the chorus of a song for a project I'm doing next year, which refers back to the Weimar period, in Berlin. But I'm conflating it with all the stuff that's going on in Brazil and Poland and stuff like that, where people, the artists, and particularly gay people as well, had to flee because of persecution. So I'm kind of conflating the two to kind of create this sort of, I suppose, it's a song cycle, I suppose, if you want to say it that way. It's a sort of with elements of jazz and cabaret. So that's a project that I'm going to work on and record for next year. Now, before that, I have a new album coming out as well, so it's all a bit on the go. So
Great. Okay. Well, see, I mean, I don't even have to ask what you're doing next or anything like that toward the end of the interview, because you are like literally just like, you have all these things going on, and like it's so amazing to see, because I've seen so many people, had so many friends who are artists who just like throughout this whole COVID thing, they were just like, nothing's happening, I have no gigs, I have nothing going on, what's going on? And it was really sad. It was really sad for me to see, for me as an artist to know that, like, my fellow artists were having a rough time, when we already have a rough time, because like we don't make a whole lot of money. Yeah, we don't.
Yeah,
we don't. So it's like, just to see that happening and knowing that there's nothing that anybody can do about it right now, because it's a thing that's happening that no one has any control over. Yeah, it's just great to hear that, and to not hear the opposite, which is like, I don't have anything going on right now. Please give me something to do. Please give me, So like, it's really great. So let's talk a little bit about like some of the things that you enjoy. Some of the other, you touched on it a little bit. Some of the other music genres that you enjoy, or like some of the music genres that you incorporate into your music even. Because I know for one, like most of the things I've seen about you are you're described as like a jazz vocalist, but sometimes you're described as a pop vocalist, or sometimes I did my research on Graham J. I know who Graham J is. So, so like, what do you? How do you consider your music, and what are some of the other genres that you like that you want to that you have incorporated into your music, or that you may want to in the future incorporate into your music?
Okay, for example, the Christmas EP will have two jazz standards that I'm fusing with R&B beats.
Wow. Okay.
Because I mean
Okay.
that music is all in the same kind of tonal sphere
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which is, I know it's something that kind of fascinates me, and I kind of want to make it a bit more urban. So I'm doing that, and then I like to fuse, because I was an opera singer. I reimagined. I don't know if you've heard it. I did see as Chandelier, but I reimagined it as a Baroque aria.
Yes.
So
okay.
there was I turned a lot of it into harpsichord, and there was recitative, and it was kind of fun and a bit mad. But I love musical theatre as well. Oh my god,
Yes.
adore musical theatre, and particularly Sondheim. So
Okay.
I kind of like that, and I like to take little bits of elements of that, because it's like, I remember a piano teacher of mine telling me that she couldn't play Bach like Chopin hadn't existed. So, which makes sense, because we have Bach didn't have a piano as such. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if
Totally,
you're playing
yeah.
on a piano, so it's the same with music. Like, I live in the 21st century, and music is so varied and so different that you need to kind of mix. You should mix genres to stuff to make it, keep it alive and fresh, and I don't I don't see the problem with saying, oh, actually, I kind of like this sound, I'm going to sample this and put it here, and I'm going to mix this around it. So for me, I'm particularly like, I was very relieved when I was studying a lot about David Bowie, for example. I love David Bowie,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah. Who doesn't?
well, exactly, and but he does what you call it. He does a lot. He came from the tradition of the French chansonnier, so he had a lot of Brel and Brecht and all that kind of stuff influencing him, which
Yeah.
goes into where I'm interested in. So, like, as I said, in Christmas, in January, I'm going to record a brand new album, which will have some original music on it, which is my own, which fuses different styles. But then I'm actually taking bits of, say, I'm doing some Jacques Brel, and I'll sing it in French and English, and then some Weimar stuff, which will be in German and English, all through a jazz idiom, but incorporating different kind of styles from contemporary. So I have this beautiful. I have a beautiful French song that I've now added a bossa nova beat to on the piano.
Okay.
So that kind of gives it a whole different way of life. So this song is usually sad, really, really sad. But now I've changed it, and it becomes this really sultry, sexy thing. So
Okay.
and I think that's the only way that we should be nowadays, because music is music, and if it's good, it will speak for itself.
Yes, totally. And yeah, I mean, and I love that you can sort of see in your presentation on and how you perform, because I have seen some of your performances. And listen to some of your music, and you can just tell that you have this very sort of this is how I like, this is what I like, this is what I want to present, and you're either gonna like it or you're not, and I like that you're really about, like, how can I say this, like, sort of combining or mixing these different genres the way that you do, because like a lot of people would be afraid to do these things.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people don't want to mix in these genres because they're like, I don't know if it's going to sound right or if people are going to like it. And I love that you're kind of totally just like, this is what I want to do, and if people like it, they're just going to like it, or they're not going to like it. I don't really care.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you know the quote that it's the job of the artist isn't to give the audience what they want, it's to tell the audience
No.
what they need.
Exactly, exactly. It's funny that you say that because I literally, before quarantine happened, I literally, for our other magazine, Queer 40, I interviewed an artist, the director of the play on a play on Broadway, who basically said the same thing in his interview. You know, my job as a director or as a playwright is not to, you know, make the audience feel comfortable. They're going to feel comfortable if they're meant to feel comfortable. And if not, then they're going to leave. And you know, and that's all I can really do. And like, yeah.
Well, see, I think that's it. Like, I think society at the moment has pandered to people because we have this awful cancel culture.
Yeah.
Which I think we need a culture of accountability. I definitely think that, but
Oh, totally, yeah.
you shouldn't be censoring artists and from expressing their voice. And I
Yes.
do think that we need to kind of stop pandering to people and encourage lazy listening, and lazy thought processes, because otherwise we're going to end up with nonsensical drivel and
Yeah.
like
Totally.
like art has been art is life. It's what keeps the world going. I mean, look what happened in lockdown. Who did they turn to? They turned to the artists to keep them going.
I said that so many times throughout lockdown. Like, you guys who think that, you know, who say all of these things about like artists this and artists that, who are the ones that are entertaining you through this?
Exactly.
Who are entertaining you through this? Who are the ones you're watching movies, you're listening to music? These are the people who are basically keeping you alive right now, or keeping you sane right now, you know? So yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
And I think that we need to snap out of this. And I think it's like, fake news. This awful phrase. And like, it's not fake news. What it is you don't agree with it, or you don't understand it properly. And so
Right.
so therefore you are saying that it's fake news, like this nonsense, where
Yeah.
I think we do need accountability in the media, and even on television. We need to be challenging people and making them think. Like this kind of like this nonsense of, like I really dislike reality television. as in pop,
Yeah,
as in pop idols and all this nonsense. I hate
Yeah.
it, and I think
Okay.
it has destroyed our industries, because you have people who like, everybody wants to be famous, but like, what do you want to be famous for? You want to be famous for the sake of being famous. You don't want to contribute to the world. People used to be famous for contributing something of
Yeah.
value, or having a unique skill or gift. This nonsense of, I just want to be famous for the sake of it, I mean, that has to go,
Yeah, so it's sort of like, so you're basically saying the same thing that a friend of mine said once. You're not trying to be famous, you want to be infamous.
Yes.
And that's infamy. Infamy is something completely different from fame. It has to do with how, I guess, how you're perceived, like not how you're perceived, but like what is, like what you said, what is it that you're bringing to the table? Like, if you're going to be a hot mess, but like bring something of value to the table, then you then be a hot mess, but make sure that you bring what it is that you can bring. But like, if you're just like going to be a hot mess and just be a mess and not have anything else to go along with it, then what is happening to entertainment? The idea of what entertainment is. And look, I'm one of those people that, like, I don't have like this thing of like everything that I like is the best thing, and everything that someone else
totally
else
agree.
like isn't. And I believe that there's a difference between like entertainment and art as well. In certain spaces, some people are entertainers, and that's fine, and some people are more artists, and that's fine. Some people merge the two, and that's great. But like, you have to like bring something to the table.
Yeah.
It has to be something of value.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that.
Yeah. I mean, and I think, like, for example, I mean, while I don't like those reality TV shows like the X Factor or all these Real Housewives or any of that nonsense. I love, and I'm gonna totally say this because in case they're listening, I'd love to be a judge one day. I love RuPaul's Drag Race. Love it.
I mean, how can you not?
Exactly.
How can you not? How can I mean, like, how can you be a part of the LGBTQ community and not watch RuPaul's Drag Race? It's like,
I mean, I've watched it from the very beginning, and I have to say, and this won't be popular, but I preferred the earlier series because I used to love watching them make the costumes, and I've really been upset that that's gone.
Yeah,
because that was so good.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, sometimes you'd be willing them to get it right, and then they'd fall apart. Now they're just a little bit too polished, if that makes sense. Where the British one had that element, and I just thought, wow, it's like back to that, and I loved it. But I mean, what they're doing for the LGBT community to raise awareness on an international scale is amazing, and and I fair play to them, lots of props, that all stuff. But and I think that kind of entertainment is valuable, where this kind of sort of this trial by media stuff, I really don't like it, you know.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like RuPaul's Drag Race has it's one of the few reality shows that has like there's some type of awareness being raised because of this show. There, you know, I have, like, you know, back in New York, I have two roommates, two straight male roommates who watch RuPaul's Drag Race. You know, and like they're all into it, and like I was literally in my room one time, like listening to them have conversations about it, and they were like, yeah, well, when she came out like this, and she came out there, and I was like, she better work, and like they were like throwing out all of these terms and doing that, and I wasn't even in there to like coach them. I wasn't even in there to coach them through any of this, and they were just like having these conversations, and I was like, this is like, part of me thought it was hilarious, like, you know, it's like listening to, like, you know, straight people like you know, do their best gay impersonations or something like that. That's what it kind of sounded like a little bit, but at the same time, I was like, this is amazing that this show has gone this far, where we have like heterosexual men talking about who wore what on the runway on RuPaul's Drag Race when their gay roommate isn't even around to talk about it. You know,
I mean, the girls come over here and they do some of the clubs over here when they're doing their world tours and stuff, and so I go into the gym. And there's two girls that work on the reception, like two proper straight girls. And as in, not, hey queen, not those kind of girls, actual girls. And they love RuPaul's Drag Race. So we all have like a little bitching session every Saturday morning after it had been aired, and we were like, oh, what did you think, and what did you think? And it was just great. And then other people would walk in and go, oh my god, I saw that, and we'd all chat, and you'd have like about 10 people chatting around the space just talking about RuPaul. And I'm like, for everybody, like there was men, women, straight, gay, the whole lot. And I just think that has been such a wonderful thing for us, and I see the point in that. You know, and because it has such a message, and you know, it's like you guys have started to watch it. We're Here. Yes. And
yes. I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard that it's really, really good. I think Robin and Rich have watched it.
It's quite emotional. And then there's a version. The UK had its own version called Drag SOS, which I totally loved. Okay. And that was it was a bit rougher, as in because they didn't have like all the razzmatazz like of the queens of RuPaul, but because they were English queens, and it was so emotional, and it's the same thing. And I sat there and I thought, wow, this has a real core, and it's, you know, it's helping people through their issues. You know, I think RuPaul does that as well. You know, and so like, but again, what's the one thing that they all have in common? They're artists.
Yeah, totally. They're artists. Yeah, and that's part of the reason why the show is, or these shows, these drag artists, these shows with these drag artists they are what they are, because these are artists that we're talking about. But when it's like, you know, just this big, you know, what do you call it, Hollywood animal behind like pushing like these people out into like the limelight to do things. Just, it's almost like, Hollywood likes to do this thing of like pushing out circus monkeys to like
Yeah.
perform in front of people, and then like, pulling them back in when they're not popular anymore.
Yeah.
And unfortunately with some of these shows, and I won't name anything because I don't want to name anything, but some of these things, some of them, you see a lot of these people that come from these shows, they don't end up, going as far as they could, or like as soon as they're not popular anymore, they just get dropped or like whatever. And so and that's because, these things aren't, they aren't made by you for you. They're made by the Hollywood
The
animal,
industry, yeah.
the industry for,
Mass consumption.
people. Yep, exactly. There you go. You took the words right out of my mouth. Mass consumption, and it's not, it's not really. Yeah,
But it's also
totally.
Also, what's sad about all this is, you have these people haven't got the skills to cope with what they're having to do. I mean, you and I worked on our craft, so I can
Yes.
go out and do 8 shows a week because my voice, my muscles are shaped to do that and are trained to do
Yes.
that. Where you're out, you know how to project your voice in a theatre. So these kids
Yes.
are going out and they haven't got the required level of skill, and they're pushing and pushing and pushing and destroying themselves. And then that
Yes.
breeds problems in industry. I mean, I've noticed with people who are studying, who are singing nowadays, if you listen, like kids and stuff, they're all trying to imitate auto-tune.
Oh wow.
Oh my god, it's quite
Okay.
frightening.
So so they're basically imitating. You think that Auto-Tune has like set the standard for them to want to imitate it and sound like that, as opposed to actually sounding like.
A proper voice,
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, that's quite shocking, and I've noticed that when I've heard some students come for lessons and things. I'm like, wow, knock that out of them quite quickly. But yeah, so God, the evils of modern TV.
Yeah. The evil, and the evil beast that is television. No. No, I like television,
Oh,
but
yeah, me
like
too, yeah.
sometimes it's just like, nah.
I have to say, my big thing at the moment is I'm loving Lovecraft Country. Oh my god!
I have not watched the episode yet. We see, because like I don't have HBO right now, so like I'm trying to figure out how can we watch it online or something. And I know it's like it's not like on the streaming service, so it doesn't come out like all the episodes at one time. It
No.
actually comes on
Once a
every
week.
week. Yeah, once a week, like old TV shows used to do. So like, but yeah, I'm definitely, that's actually next on my. I just finished telling my partner that was next on the watch list, because I definitely want to see that, and I'm glad you have let me know that it would be a great choice.
Well, I sat there and I watched the first episode and I just went, oh my god. And my friend rang me after last night's episode and we were like, oh my god, what do you think? And I was like, oh yeah, that was really good. So I'm really enjoying that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great. Well, it's set then. That's the next thing I'm watching. Because Graham J said so. All right. So, I mean, and I guess the last thing I want to talk about, which we already kind of touched on, was like some of the upcoming things, the things that you have coming up.
Oh, well.
A lot.
Well, there'll be a new single out in the next couple of weeks, which is part of the FH Block project. So FH Block, I recorded with them in January. They're responsible for running with Beyonce. They're responsible for that. So they contacted me and they loved my voice. So they got me to record a pilot song. So there's a new one coming out in another couple of weeks. They also created Sam Smith. So there's been quite a lot of stuff around that. And then I am going into the studio in the next couple of weeks to finish this Christmas EP, which will be out in November. And then January, I am going to work with the Italian pianist Marco Marconi on this new jazz album. and already the critics are kind of going, "Oh my God, we can't wait!" And I'm like, "Oh God, please don't put that pressure on me."
Yeah.
So, I'm very excited about that, because that's kind of, or as I was saying, it's like there'll be like the Brel and the sort of Weimar stuff, and then mixed with my own original stuff, and then I've got other projects for next year, including hopefully at one point another album of songs that I wrote about different relationships I had. So.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Okay. So we're getting a little personal.
Oh yeah. Well,
we're getting a little personal there.
we are. So.
All right. Well, I can't wait to hear that. I like a little juice. No.
I hate you now. Die.
I mean, if that's what you have to say, that's what you have to say. You know, get it out through your music. That's what we artists do.
Is that all there is? Is it over now? No, it's not
great.
that bad. But yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. But as I said, the big project now for Christmas will be the EP and then the album. And I said, well, we recorded a video for the new song last weekend, and that'll be out in the next couple of weeks. So please keep an eye out. Follow me.
Oh, I will totally, and we will. Of course, we will like let everybody know when it comes out, because I'm if I'm not mistaken, you may have said it, but you said so much. I just have to make sure that you didn't that you didn't say it already. You had an album that came out at the beginning of this year, right? Or like at the like recently?
Yes, I had a single. So this FH Block problem.
Got it.
Or problem. FH Block, that was subliminal. FH Block project. So there was a group of songs. So they're being released over time. So the first one was For the Best. And then the second one, which is coming out in the next couple of weeks, which we just recorded the video for at the weekend, is I Found You. So I heard the orchestral mix this morning, and the strings were done by the guy who did Adele strings.
Got it.
So that's kind of come out in the next few weeks, and
Wow.
yeah. So there's it's quite a bit. God, you know what?
It's very exciting. It's very exciting.
And I'm just going to say to all the listeners, just as they're listening, just bear in mind, artists, we're all tarts. We're all about flogging the merch.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Bear World audience absolutely will love to hear that all artists are tarts, because you might get a few hits just from saying that. Just so you know, people are going to start hitting you up. Probably. Fingers crossed.
I'm still single.
So Graham J's let me see. Graham J's Instagram is go ahead and tell them what your Instagram is so they can DM you.
It's Graham J Sings, and J is just the letter J, by the way. It's not JAY. It's GRAHAMJSINGES.com. You'll find me for everything. God, did I spell that wrong? GES. God, where did I go with that? GRAHAMJSINGES.com. That's for my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, and sometimes there's shirtless pictures.
Well, and that will, you know how to. This guy knows how to promote himself. I'm telling you.
Listen, as I said to you, I am a whore for money. I'll do anything. So,
well, we have that on recording.
Yes.
We have
like
that
Tina
recording.
Turner, I'll be your private dancer.
Do what you want me to do.
Exactly.
That's great.
You pay me, I'll sing that tune.
I love it. I support it. I'm all for it. Well, Graham, thank you so much for being our guest today. I really enjoy talking to you.
Thank you.
And we will do this again sometimes. As Graham said, make sure you check out his website. It has all the links there if you want to go and DM him or whatever. All the links are there for all of the Instagrams, the Twitters. So www.grahamjsings.com is where you can find all the information that you need to, and all the pictures that you might need as well. But once again, thank you so much for being here. Guys, like I said at the beginning of the episode, if you have not checked out Beer World Magazine, make sure you check out Beer World Magazine at www.beerworldmag.com. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you have. Every 2 weeks, we have new episodes come out, and you don't want to miss one. Because the one today is great. So, guys, have a great evening or day or whatever time it is that you're listening to this, and we will see you again. Bye-bye.